The phone's piercing ring jolted me awake at 2:47 a.m. My sister Emma's name flashed on the screen, but her voice was barely a whisper when I answered. "Sarah. Please. I need help." The line went dead. 20 minutes later, headlights cut through my driveway's darkness. Emma stumbled out of a taxi, cradling her 7-year-old son Tyler against her chest. Even in the dim porch light, I could see the fresh bruises painting her face like a twisted canvas. Tyler's small hand clutched a torn teddy bear, his eyes hollow with terror. "He found the recording," Emma whispered as I ushered them inside. "David knows I was going to expose him. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 29, a forensic accountant with a talent for uncovering financial secrets. This is the story of how one desperate night led me to orchestrate the most satisfying takedown of my life." David Sterling wasn't just Emma's husband. He was our town's golden boy. Star quarterback turned successful real estate mogul, married to the mayor's daughter, with a smile that charmed everyone from bank presidents to grocery store clerks. But behind closed doors, he was Emma's nightmare. As I helped Tyler settle on my couch, Emma revealed everything. The years of psychological torture, the financial control, the threats that kept her silent. David had isolated her completely, convinced everyone that Emma was unstable after their marriage. He'd even persuaded our parents that Emma needed firm guidance. But Emma had been secretly recording their conversations for months, gathering evidence. When David discovered her hidden phone tonight, his rage exploded. "He said he'd make me disappear," Emma sobbed. "And that Tyler would forget I ever existed." The next morning I made a decision that would change everything. I called in sick to work and began what I privately called Operation Sterling Destruction. First stop, David's real estate office. I walked in wearing my most professional outfit, clipboard in hand. "Hi, I'm conducting a routine audit for the State Tax Commission," I told his receptionist with a confident smile. "We need to review some property transaction records." David's face paled when he saw me, but his charm never wavered. "Sarah, what a pleasant surprise. How can I help you today?" "Just routine compliance checks," I replied sweetly. "Nothing to worry about. Unless there's something to hide." His laugh sounded forced. "Of course not. We run a completely transparent operation here." As I reviewed his files, I noticed something interesting. Several properties sold in the past year had suspicious pricing patterns. With my forensic training, I recognized the classic signs of money laundering. Properties bought and sold quickly at inflated prices to clean dirty money. That evening, I visited Emma's best friend Jessica, who worked at the local bank. Over coffee, I casually mentioned seeing David making large cash deposits. "That's strange," Jessica frowned. "His business account shows mostly wire transfers and checks. But there's another account." She stopped herself, but I could see the wheels turning. "Jessica, if someone was using the bank to hide illegal activity, you'd want to know, right?" The next day Jessica called me. "Sarah, you need to see this. David has 3 different accounts under slightly different business names. And the transaction patterns are suspicious." Meanwhile, I'd been busy with phase 2 of my plan. I contacted Detective Mike Chen, an old college friend who worked in financial crimes. Without mentioning David's name, I shared some hypothetical patterns I'd noticed in real estate transactions. Mike's interest was immediately piqued. "Sarah, what you're describing sounds like a sophisticated laundering operation. If you have specific information, let me gather some more evidence first," I said. "But Mike, when I call you next time, I'll need you to act fast." The breakthrough came when Emma remembered David's home office safe. "He keeps it behind his college football trophy," she whispered. "The combination is Tyler's birthday." That night, while David was at his weekly poker game, Emma and I entered their house. My hands shook as I opened the safe, but what we found exceeded my wildest expectations. Inside were documents revealing David's entire operation. He'd been laundering money for a regional drug trafficking network, using his real estate business as a front. Property deeds, cash transaction records, and most damning of all, communications with known criminals. But the real shock came in a manila envelope labeled insurance policies. Inside were photos and documents on several local officials, including our mayor and police chief. David had been blackmailing them to protect his operation. Emma gasped when she found another folder labeled with her name. It contained forged medical documents declaring her mentally incompetent, pre-signed divorce papers giving David full custody of Tyler, and a life insurance policy worth $2 million that Emma had never signed. "He was planning to have me declared insane," Emma whispered, horror dawning in her eyes. "Or worse." I photographed everything, then carefully returned the documents to their exact positions. But I kept one item, a burner phone that contained David's communications with his criminal partners. The next morning I made 3 calls. First to Detective Chen, providing him with specific details about David's money laundering operation. Second to the FBI's Financial Crimes Unit, sharing evidence of the blackmail scheme. Third to investigative journalist Marcus Reed at the state newspaper, offering him the story of the decade. Then I sat back and watched David's world crumble in real time. The first domino fell when FBI agents raided David's office at 9 a.m. By noon, the story had broken statewide. Local real estate mogul exposed as money laundering kingpin. The photos of David in handcuffs were plastered across every news outlet. But I wasn't finished. That evening, I called David's poker buddies. All prominent businessmen who'd been treating Emma terribly on David's word. "Hi, Mr. Peterson. I thought you should know that David has been telling people you knew about his criminal activities. The FBI might be calling you soon." Within hours, David's entire social network had turned against him. The same men who'd shunned Emma at charity events were now publicly distancing themselves from David, claiming they'd always suspected something wasn't right. The final blow came when Marcus Reed's follow-up article exposed the domestic abuse. Emma had finally agreed to go on record, and with the criminal charges already filed, she felt safe to tell her story. The headline read, "Behind the Golden Boy Facade, a story of terror and control." David's bail was revoked when prosecutors argued he was a flight risk and danger to his family. He'd gone from town hero to public enemy in 72 hours. 6 months later, I stood in the courthouse as David's sentencing was read aloud. 25 years for money laundering, racketeering, blackmail, and domestic violence. The judge's words echoed through the packed courtroom. "Mr. Sterling, you used your position and charm to prey on the vulnerable while facilitating serious criminal activity. Society is safer with you behind bars." Emma squeezed my hand as we walked out into the sunshine. Tyler, now in therapy and slowly healing, ran ahead to play on the courthouse steps. The bruises had faded from Emma's face, replaced by something I hadn't seen in years. Genuine happiness. "Do you think it's really over?" Emma asked, watching Tyler laugh for the first time in months. I thought about the restitution David would pay from his seized assets, the new identity protection program Emma and Tyler were enrolled in, and the therapy sessions that were helping them rebuild their lives. "The nightmare is over," I said. "But the best part. We're just getting started." Emma had used her share of David's seized assets to open a non-profit supporting domestic violence survivors. I'd left my corporate job to work as an advocate, using my forensic skills to help other victims escape financial abuse. As we drove home, Emma's phone buzzed with a text from our parents. The same parents who'd once called her dramatic and told her to try harder with David. The message was short but meaningful. "We're sorry. We believe you. We love you." Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't dramatic confrontation or explosive justice. Sometimes it's simply living well while watching someone's carefully constructed lies crumble under the weight of truth. David had spent years making Emma feel powerless, convincing everyone that she was the problem. In the end, his own arrogance and cruelty became the weapons that destroyed him. Justice doesn't always wear a cape or carry a sword. Sometimes it comes quietly, methodically, through careful planning and the courage to finally speak truth to power. And sometimes, just sometimes, the good guys really do win.